Hey guys, Rob here for rhythmicvocabulary.com. Today I want to talk to you guys about the paradiddle. The paradiddle is one of the basic 26 rudiments, and I believe every drummer should know this. It is the sticking pattern is right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left as 16th notes, and the basic pattern sounds like this. This pattern can be used to build speed and facility around the drum kit. It can also be used to develop time feels and even implied time metric modulation. And I'm going to go over all of this in this video. So the first thing that we need to do to gain some facility is start to move this around the drum kit. And we're going to do this in several ways. The first way is we are going to move the first single of each paradiddle to a different sound source. So the right hand will go to the floor tom, left hand to the rack tom. We can also go to cymbals. That'll sound like this. Once you're comfortable with that, let's start to move both singles of the paradiddle and just leave the doubles on the snare drum. That's going to sound like this. You want to move this to each sound source on your drum kit and become really, really comfortable with it. Next up, we have the doubles. And so on. Again, move it around the entire drum set and gain a lot of facility with it. I want to talk for a second about a way of moving doubles that I don't see a lot of drummers using. This comes from Gary Chafee's book, Sticking Patterns. If you're not familiar with that book, I suggest that you do pick up a copy. It's a phenomenal book. Now, this way of moving is called broken doubles, and we can do this in one of two ways. We have an inside move, meaning that your hand moves to the inside, or an outside move, meaning that it moves to the outside. So let's just take a look at what broken doubles are first. Let's start with an inside move. And then the outside move. So let's see how that looks with the paradiddle. Once you're comfortable with that, I suggest just starting to play around with the paradiddle. Just in 16th notes, no real metronome marking, but just playing around so that you get comfortable with it. And so on. It's good to start with a time feel and then use that as a fill. So let's set up a 1-bar basic 8th note pattern and then use the paradiddle as a 16th note fill. That's going to sound like this. The next step is to use this as an actual time feel. So to achieve this, all we're going to do is take the right hand notes of the paradiddle and put them either on a ride cymbal or hi-hat, and the left hand notes on the snare drum. So the basic pattern sounds like this. A special note, we need to control our dynamics here. Otherwise, this pattern can sound very heavy-handed because there are a lot of snare drum notes. So you want to ghost all of the unaccented notes, accenting 2 and 4, and there should be a very big difference between the accented and unaccented notes. Unaccented notes should be played approximately 1.5 to 2 inches off your snare drum, accented notes 4 to 6 inches off the snare drum. I'm going to play it the wrong way first so that you can hear how bad the groove is, for lack of a better word. I'm going to just play 1 and 3 on the bass drum, and I'll play the pattern. So now I'm going to actually control my dynamics. We'll keep all the unaccented snare drum notes ghosted, accented notes, again, 4 to 6 inches off the head. I do the same thing on the hi-hat. 1 and 3 is accented. All the other notes are played just a little bit softer with the tip of the stick versus the shank. Here's that same pattern with a better groove. Once you have your hands under control, you're going to want to take a book like Gary Chester's New Breed, Gary Chaffee's Time Functioning Patterns, or even Ted Reed's Syncopation, and read those bass drum figures against the basic hand pattern. This is going to build your coordinated independence and allow you to use this pattern in many ways. Next up, we're going to take the basic paradiddle pattern and play it between the right foot, so that's going to play all the right hand notes, and the left hand on the snare drum. Same dynamic considerations. All the unaccented notes, 1.5 to 2 inches off the head. Accented notes, 4 to 6 inches. Basic 8th note ride pattern. It's a basic pattern that can sound very cool. And again, you need to gain facility with this. Gary Chaffee's Time Functioning Patterns has 13 different ride cymbal patterns. I would suggest learning all of those ride cymbal patterns against the basic phrase. If you don't have Gary Chaffee's Time Functioning Patterns, just learn every ride cymbal combination you can against it to gain facility. The last thing I want to touch on here is using the paradiddle against triplets, or played in the triplet rate. So this will resolve in 2 bars. Okay, so basically we have 24 notes in 2 bars of triplets, so it's going to take 6 paradiddles to make up those 24 notes, or 3 paradiddles with each hand. This is going to give us a basic 3 against 4 pattern. I'm going to play that on the snare drum against quarter notes on my hi-hat, accenting the paradiddles just so you can hear the basic phrase. So quarter notes. The accent pattern there is a 3 against 4 polyrhythm, and we can again use this to play time in a triplet rate, and that's going to give us an implied time or implied metric modulation. Be careful how you use this. You can definitely screw up your other band members, but if they know it's coming, it can be really cool. So I'm going to just set up a basic triplet time feel and then play this pattern exactly the same way as I did before. Special attention to the accents. Let's hear how it sounds. Now I'm going to play an 8th note pattern with this triplet pattern after it. That's going to sound like this. So there you have it, the paradiddle. It's important to learn. It's a lot of fun to play, and moving it around the drum kit with all the motion that we talked about, you can really hide the fact that it's a basic paradiddle. Until next time, www.rhythmicvocabulary.com or www.facebook/rhythmicvocabulary. Talk to you soon.